sponsored program are not necessarily those of KSCO Radio, its staff, management, or advertisers. If something is said with which you disagree, please call us during the program in order to help us balance comments. And now McCollum Wellness Radio.
In my life there came a time when I had to make a change. You know that things just weren't right. I looked around for someone else to blame.
Hey, Allison.
I searched and I searched and I reached down inside. And I knew when I found there's a light I can hide. I can be free, I can be free, I can rise above, I can be free, I can be free, I will rise.
Good afternoon, everybody. This is Dr. Duncan McCollum coming to you from KSCO, Santa Cruz, and really glad to be here today. Hi, Marcy. Hi, Allison. It's nice to see you guys there. I played the full beginning of the song "You Can Be Free" by Steve Funderburg, sung by Tony Lindsay today on the Facebook feed. Oftentimes it gets taken down because of playing more than 30 seconds, but I figured, what the hell, I'm playing it today. It's a really neat song, and it really talks about freedom and the fact that you can be free. You can make a decision to do something different in your life. And I was talking to a patient of mine just the other day, and we were talking about, the general trend of people in our country and the health trend and what passes as normal. And so today's show is the best of the worst, and the worst of the best is normal. So oftentimes when I go into a conversation with a patient about their health or about some condition they have, or when I show them an x-ray of their neck or low back where they've got severe degenerative changes on one segment versus the other 3 or 4 that are great, and they go, well, I'm such and such an age, isn't that normal? Well, normal and healthy are 2 different things. If I had 4 brand new tires on my car, and I used to sell Michelin tires, I was a tire buster for years, which didn't do my back any good. Working on a broken back was not, I didn't have a lot of brains. I'm still working on that. But, if you're driving down the road and all of a sudden, one of your tires is worn out in 25% of the time of the other ones, that's could be normal for most of the cars on the road, but that just means that nobody got their alignment checked. And so when your car does get out of alignment, it's going to wear the tire incorrectly and more rapidly. That's what happens with degenerative disc disease, degenerative arthritis that we see, or osteoarthritis. We see this in the spine a lot, and it's not healthy, but it's really quite normal, to be honest with you. When you take a look at the health of our country, what passes as normal is really scary. Scary is, I don't have enough energy. I stopped doing the sports I used to do. I don't really pay much attention to what I eat because I can't lose weight anyway. And if I do a diet, I'm going to do a crash diet that may minimize my calories for 3 or 4, 5 weeks, and I lose all that weight and I feel good about myself. But then I go off of that restricted calorie diet, and all of a sudden, not only have I put the weight back that I took off, but more. And that's normal for the way people take care of their health in this country. One of my friends friend, who's a friend of mine also, has been on a calorie restriction diet. And, we were talking about this and the fact that, you're basically putting the body on a starvation diet for X amount of time. It is going to burn your fat stores. It is going to potentially have you lose weight because it's burning your fat stores. But guess what's stored in fat? Heavy metals, molds, toxicity, glyphosate, all the oil soluble toxins that we're exposed to on a daily basis, not only from the clothes we wear, the food that we eat, the air that we breathe, the water we drink, the environment that we find ourselves in. The body is pretty smart. I mean, it can only tolerate X amount of toxins or heavy metals or molds or poisons in our bloodstream before the existence of that in our bloodstream will kill us. So what the body does, if it can't get rid of it quick enough, it stores it in fat cells and other connective tissue, including the fat cells of the brain, which is not a very good place to store toxins. So then you go on a starvation diet, which would be considered a calorie elimination diet. And your body's going to burn those fat cells after it's done burning, your stored sugar energy that's stored in your liver and other cells of the body. That's going to burn up pretty quickly, and then you're going to be working off of the stored fat in your body, which sounds great, except for the fact that you are dumping all of the toxins that are stored in those fat cells to keep you healthy into the bloodstream. So guess what? This gal got that dreaded 5-letter disease for the second time. And no wonder. You starve your body, your immune system gets weak, your immune cells are eaten up because they're easily expended for energy. And then all of a sudden you find yourself compromised or sick. And this is normal. Is it healthy? No. Is it normal to go on different kind of fad diets? Yes. Are they healthy? Typically not. Lifestyle change diets are a much better way to go. Anybody that's tried a ketogenic diet incorrectly has probably got the keto flu along the way. They've gotten sick, they've had some success or not, they've lost weight or not. And the reason not is because they didn't go about it correctly. Everybody is different, of course. And depending on your understanding of how to implement a ketogenic diet or a paleogenic diet, for instance, if you don't do it correctly or you just do the run-of-the-mill one, your body may not be right for it. And then what you end up happening is making yourself sick, not losing weight, burning muscle, because when your body can't burn fat well enough, which is called the ketogenic aspect of burning your fat and turning it into fuel, most of our bodies can't burn fat. Just look down and see if you can see your toes. If you can't, your body's probably having a hard time burning fat. So trying to just go on a calorie restriction diet will cause your body to burn that stuff. But if it doesn't know how to do that or very well, it's going to make you sick. And one of them, actually, there's 5 main reasons why you will get sick when you go on a diet like this and your body's unable to handle it, is because of, number one, your nervous system is not working very well and is incapable of dumping or making the organs function well enough to recognize the toxins. Number two, the organs aren't working, like the liver, kidney, gallbladder. Your lungs aren't able to expel the gases well enough. Your skin is not able to get rid of the oily, salty toxins. You're going to get sick. So you have your nervous system, then you have the chemistry in your body, then you have elimination through the lungs, your skin, and then, of course, your mental attitude. You have to have the right mental attitude in order to be able to lose toxins, and those mental toxins are enough to kill you. So what's passed as normal in this country is a very sick existence. We're rated 47th in the world for health. We take 80% of all the opioid drugs in the world. 4% of the world population takes 80% of all the opioid painkillers, and those are prescription ones, let alone what's coming over the border. And you know, the average American, once they work 50 years and they retire at 65, they live 9 years then die. So you put 50 years into, you know, making a living, raising a family, trying to put away for the future, and then you've got an average of 9 years before something happens. And Allison says that's so wrong. I know, but it's the way it is. So what can we do about it? What can we do different? Well, that's a great question. First of all, we've got to take a really clean and fair assessment of where our individual health is, but also take a look at what we consider normal individually. What's normal to us? If you go to a mall, or you go down where you can go to a restaurant, or go to an area where there's large groups of people and start to look around, you're going to see, you know, what is taken as okay for an existence in this country. And most people are tired. Most people, their get up and go has got up and went. They have hitches in their get along. You know, they're just not moving well. They've given up on a lot of the sports that they may want to do, or the hobbies that they used to like to do. You know, it's almost like you just sit there and dream about days gone by, when, you know, you're still able to make decisions, to make changes, to do whatever it is that you want to do. Within reason, you have to do it at a certain gradient scale, so that you can bring yourself back up to a point of enjoying life. And I'm not saying people who are in this category aren't enjoying life. You know, the human nature is to enjoy their life and to survive. Our bodies want to survive regardless of what we put into them. I mean, it's amazing to see what happens, you know, at the end of life with people, what they're able to put up with, the body is, and before they finally pass on. You know, oftentimes they get incredibly sick or ill, and it's sad. It's a sad state of affairs that you work so hard to go out that way. So if we have a choice, and we do, to change things in our life, we've got to take a look at what we see as normal, and then realize that normal is the worst of the best and the best of the worst. So it's not normal to be complacent with your health. It's not normal to have diabetes. 60% of the population are diabetic or pre-diabetic, and it's getting up to 65% of the people in our country are diabetic or pre-diabetic, and that becomes normal. So that's like, you know, what we consider normal is to be sick. That's really sad that we look at it that way. So I'm going to go ahead and take my first break here, and we'll come back and talk a little bit about what we can do to change our health and maybe our attitude, and start to live a better, more happy life. And it's possible. Take a look at where you are right now and go, hey, what if I improved it by 10%? That'd be cool. All right, I'll be back in a minute. Dr. Duncan McCollum, be back soon.
This is Dr. Duncan McCollum, and I would like you to listen to a couple testimonials from my patients about our new TRT machine. You should come try it, but here's what they have to say.
A year and 2 months ago, I got knocked down by a horse, and I got a grade 2 pull on my hamstring, and from there everything went to hell. Basically, I was walking 3.5 miles a day. I went from that to walking less and less because it was so painful, and my other knee started hurting me. And then I stepped off a ladder and jammed my knee. It took me the next morning 5 minutes by the time I stood up to get out of my bedroom. It was so painful. At the same time, I found out about the TRT from the doc, and I knew that that was for me. So almost feeling completely normal. So it's been great. I was walking stiff-kneed on one side because it was fist flopping out of place. Now I can bend my knee and walk. I totally recommend this one time, and you'll just go, whoa.
You don't realize how much you use your toes for balance until there's no feeling in them. And so I've got the feeling back in my toes, and my balance is greatly improved. Definitely recommend it.
So call today for your $49 introductory special on the TRT machine to see if it works for you. Call 831-459-9990. 831-459-9990. McCollum Family Chiropractic. Hey, this is Dr. Duncan McCollum, and I have this amazing patient, Lauren, here, and she had a few things to say.
Hi, I'm Lauren Spencer, a local realtor, and I've been seeing Duncan for years now. I had a biking accident and he's been adjusting me since then, and it's been amazing. But lately, I've had trouble with my feet, and I'm an avid walker, avid biker, avid golfer, and my feet were aching all the time. And I tried Duncan's TRT machine, which is an amazing stem cell machine that rejuvenates the cells. And my feet, I've had like 3 or 4 sessions with the machine, and my feet are like new, no aches, no pains. It's a miracle. So I really highly recommend Duncan and his chiropractic services, but also that TRT machine. You got to try it.
Wow, thanks, Lauren. That was awesome. So we still have the $49 special. Come on in and see if it works for you. Thank you.
It will make a better road. You search and you reach down inside. And you'll know when you find there's a light you can't hide. You can be free. You can be free. You can rise above.
Hey everybody, Dr. Duncan McCollum back. Thank you so much for listening to KSCO. It's a great station. If you want to follow me on Facebook, go to Duncan McCollum Facebook, or you can go to YouTube, Dr. Duncan McCollum, and you can hear these shows again on McCollum Wellness Radio, as it is all of my podcasts, anywhere you can find podcasts. So that song was You Can Be Free by my friend Steve Funderburg, sung by Tony Lindsay, 8-time Grammy Award winner. And, you know, it's really a matter of choice. No matter where we are in our life, we can always be better. We can always do more. We can, whatever we decide to put between our ears, we can make a change. And, you know, it's like what you think about, you talk about, what you talk about, you bring about. A minute ago, we heard 3 different people talk about the stem cell machine, patients of mine. They're all still patients. They've been patients for several years. But the middle guy, Noel, was talking about his feet, and that he had, he had a neuropathy in his feet so bad that when he had to wear shoes, if he tried to walk barefoot, he felt like walking on broken glass. And the cool thing is I didn't see him for a few years when we had that thing hit back in whenever it was, 2.5 years ago. And he came in because he was having some low back pain. And I asked him about his feet. He goes, oh no, that never came back. He was suffering so badly from this neuropathy that, you know, he went through a series of treatment with the stem cell machine, and 2.5 years later, it had still not come back, but now he had developed something else. And he said, I'm going to go and get some more treatment. So, you know, prevention is the key. When you are, wherever your health is right now, there's definitely some things to do to improve it, but better off than that is preventing the inevitable, which is the illnesses that we get in this country, because we are, again, rated 47th in the world for health. We've not been taught how to be healthy. The TV commercials, 2 out of 3 TV commercials are a drug advertising company talking to you about some other drug that they've created with all the side effects that go on and on and on and on. And it's hard for me to understand how people take those when they say may cause severe bleeding, you know, basically failure of an organ. But, you know, people still go to the doctor and tell the doctor, you know, I would like to try that medication, even though I do have all these things going on with me. You know, when really our bodies have been able to heal themselves since time immemorial. I mean, you take a look at a blade of grass coming up through, or a weed coming up through a crack in the concrete, that stuff will live regardless. You can pull it, you can pour gas on it, even glyphosate on it, and the thing comes back. Or if you've been up in the Sierras and seen a little teeny tree grow in a crack in a rock, and then 100 years later the rock is cracked in half and the tree's huge, because the desire to survive is so strong that it overcomes the obstacles of the physical universe. And that's really kind of the crux, is the physical universe, which is matter, energy, space, and time, is what we run up against as we, which are, you and me, whatever we are, spiritual beings or what have you, the essence of life, making our way through this physical universe with goals in mind. And we try to reach those goals, and we enjoy them when we don't. We are or dissatisfied when we love it when we hit them. If we don't hit them, we're hopefully going to reset our goals and try for something else, rather than just succumb to the normalcy of life, which the normalcy again is the best of the worst and the worst of the best. So listen, I know there are people with major physical handicaps out there. As some of you know, I broke my back when I was 12. I suffered severe pain for many, many years, and I re-injured it many times. I'm 66 years old. I still have. If I don't wake up with something I want to pinch myself, because I figure I might be 6 feet under at that point. But it's the desire to get up and go that keeps us surviving. And I think having goals is very important. So what I like to do is have a journal that I write in, not every day, but I do write in it, or I'm reading stuff about how to overcome obstacles towards a known goal. And that's really happiness. If I can set out to do something and achieve that, then it's pretty cool. Sometimes I have to reset it and try again. But a lot of people, when they come into my office, they say, well, I used to golf. I love to golf, but I can't because of my knee, or whatever the sport might be. I like to run, but I don't run anymore, or so many different things. People just assume that from this point forward, they can't do it. And whether or not it's good for them to try to run at this point or not, the point is that you start to squash your desire to expand because of the limitations of your physical body. Not just your ability to play sports or to get out and move, but the chemistry of our body, the toxicity of our body, our organs are not working well. Our liver is like a dirty vacuum. You can turn it on, but it won't suck up anything. Pretty soon it overheats and explodes, burns up, and our heart is pumping so hard trying to get oxygen to the cells in our body. And the cell walls are so toxic, so filled up with bad oils, that the oxygen exchange into the cells isn't working. So we have 100 trillion cells in our body, 75 to 100 trillion cells. And I was listening to Professor Brian Peskin this morning, who I've interviewed on this show before, talk about oxygenation in the body and how the energy, we are an oxygen burning machine. And if we're unable to utilize oxygen, we have no energy. What helps us carry oxygen are good oils in our body, not the trans fat oils that a lot of us grew up on, the rancid oils. So the unadulterated oils are the ones that we want. The olive oil, the coconut oil, avocado oil. Those are the kind of oils that are going to help us stay healthy. And the bad ones are going to be the polyunsaturated oils that are altered by man. For some reason, if you take a look at what's happened with our health since World War II, one of the issues was that we were able to get food from all over the world. And we also had ways of processing food in ways that we were devoiding them of their nutrients. So not only was the Breakfast of Champions now deemed orange juice, some kind of cereal, and toast, all of which burns like sugar very quickly. We were fed this growing up and not taught how to burn fat. In fact, they took the fat out of the milk and gave us slim milk or whatever it's called, 2% or non-fat milk. And we've been waging war against fat for the last 40 or 50 years when it's exactly the opposite of what we should be doing. Then we're told that our cholesterol is so high and we're told to get it down, where honestly, the cholesterol is what protects your cells. It protects your blood vessels, the good cholesterol. And so what we're being fed in the news would be something to investigate yourself and to take a look at. However, they know that we don't have time to do all that. We're working so hard. We go home, we eat, and go to sleep, and go to work the next day. And, you know, and then we try to throw some fun in there if we can. And the more inflamed we get, the harder it is for us to get around, the more our joints ache. And you take a look at the people in the United States, we are the most obese of all industrialized countries in the world. We have more, we're more obese than any of them. I think there was 193 that they looked at, and we were the worst. So how can the wealthiest country in the world be the sickest? Well, 47th in the world for health, the most obese. And, you know, you kind of figure, since we're not a third world country, that we should be able to educate our people, the peoples of our country, on what health is. But they don't. They teach them everything we learn in school doesn't teach us how to be healthy. That even during this whole episode that we had for 2.5 years, all the media talked about was, you know, the medical intervention for this. And nobody talked about vitamin D, zinc, vitamin C, some of the other supplements that you could take to boost your immune system. Nobody talked about, well, why don't you take a health index of where you are right now and see if you could improve it. We know that, you know, we are obese as a country. And even if you're just overweight, one reason you can't lose weight is there's three scenarios here. You try to lose weight, you go to the gym on January 1st, and hey, you're pretty good. You lose some pounds, you feel good, or you go there, you immediately get sick. And that scenario is your body recognizes the fact you're trying to burn fat cells that are loaded with toxins. And the body goes, okay, stupid, I'll let you burn these fat cells. So it does, and it dumps all those toxins in your bloodstream, which are now soluble in water, and they get to your cells, they make you weak, and they make you sick. They get to the brain and they give you brain fog. And then the other scenario is you don't lose any weight. Why? Well, the body's going, I'm not going to dump all this toxic into my bloodstream. I don't feel like getting sick. So really the bottom line is to understand how to get your body healthy. And every case is different, but the main thing you've got to do is take a look at what your toxic load is. Are you still eating foods that are not organic? Now, there are some foods that, you know, the farmers can't afford to make them qualify as organic, and they're healthy. And even some of the organic foods, some of the fertilizers and stuff they use could be harmful. However, you've got to do the best you can, and that is to not stay the same. Because if you stay the same in this country, the majority of us are going to stay sick. And so it's so important that we start to change our health. Only people not affected by gluten are dead people. I sure learned it's easy to lose. Okay, that's from Dr. Joel coming on here. Well, not everybody has gluten sensitivities. However, gluten is so adulterated at this point. One of the reasons people have gluten sensitivities is because gluten was altered dramatically in 1970 by a doctor who won a Nobel Prize for his work with grain. And he was trying to end world hunger. And he was in New Mexico City. and Dr. Blaylock, I think his name is, and he was able to get wheat to have 7 times the yield of regular wheat, but he had to interbreed it. And so all of a sudden, you know, the song about amber waves of grain. Well, now it's stocky stalks of wheat, you know. And the problem is there were so many new gluten types and gluten elements formed during that alteration and mutation. And this wasn't even GMO. This is just crossbreeding of the wheat, that our bodies over the evolution of time could not change fast enough to be able to recognize these glutens. So there are tremendous amount of allergies to these glutens. And then almost all grain in the United States are liberally sprayed with glyphosate, because they've been, glyphosate is something that kills weeds, but they've impregnated the GMO seeds with a gene that makes it immune to glyphosate. So then once the crops are ready to harvest, they can spray the crops we eat with glyphosate that kills all the, or dries up all the leaves, so they get a better yield of the grain. I mean, it's really pretty criminal what's gone on with our food. Now, a lot of times, and I was talking to somebody about this the other day, well, there's so many gluten-free foods out there, gluten-free grains and gluten-free, or, you know, substances, but they have to be filled with something else. And that something else is usually as toxic or allergenic as the glutens would be, or at least likely to be somewhat that. You know, the xanthan gums and the, you know, the different things that they put in there, the tapiocas, can be just as toxic to a body as the other. So, you know, really eating food that's natural, that's, you know, whether you're religious or not, I like to say food by God, because that's the natural food that over the time and evolution that our body's been able to recognize and utilize. So it's, you know, important for us to not only eat well, but we've got to do something to clean up our body. Now, you know, I was talking about normal, the best of the worst and the worst of the best. If you start to, you know, you can buy my books. You can get New Hope for Sciatica on Amazon, or Turn Back Your Biological Clock on Amazon. Both of them talk about turning your health around, the inflammatory process, which is so bad for us. It basically eats up our cell walls, it eats up our joints, it eats up our organs, it eats up our brain. The inflammatory process is basically what's killing us. And, you know, even 15, 20 years ago, Time magazine came out with, on the front cover, it was, you know, hidden infections as a cause of chronic disease. So hidden inflammation, hidden infections, heavy metals, molds cause chronic inflammation. Chronic inflammation causes chronic disease. I might have misspoken there a minute. Chronic inflammation causes chronic disease. What causes chronic inflammation? Heavy metals, molds, and hidden infections and chemicals. Okay, the glyphosate is tremendously toxic to us, and it's causing a lot of problems with us. Okay, this is Dr. Duncan McCollum. I'm going to take another commercial break. If you haven't tried the stem cell machine, the TRT machine, you really should. We're getting some really cool changes with it. And when I come back, I'll tell you a story that just happened in the office, and it was pretty cool. But anyway, I'll be back in just a minute.
This is Dr. Duncan McCollum here, and I have Pastor Mark with me. He came in and experienced the stem cell machine, the TRT machine, and he wanted to just go ahead and tell you a little bit of his experience. Yeah, I injured my knee years ago from sports and being dumb, and after the first stem cell treatment, after the very first one, I could go full knee squat, and doctors told me that we want to replace your knee, and my knee would just ache just from sitting, and you probably experienced that if you have knee problems, but now, no ache, I can walk without pain. And when I sit, I have no pain. And I just love it. I'd recommend it to anybody. It's terrific. When we looked at your x-rays, your discs and your knees look pretty good, too. Yeah, they're improving so much. I just love it. I can't wait for my treatment every week. Highly recommend it to anyone. So you'd recommend they do the $49 special to see if it will work for them? Oh, absolutely. That's what drew me in with the $49 special. I thought I got $50 to spend to just see, and it certainly has paid off. Call 831-459-9990. Thanks.
Hi, this is Dr. Duncan McCollum, and I have this amazing patient, Gayleen, here, who walked into our office, well, barely walked into our office.
Hardly able to walk and bent over. And within 3 visits, I was standing up straight, walking. I couldn't believe it. That's never happened to me before. It's been a very rough road, but we're getting there, and I'm very grateful.
And you had 2 back surgeries as well, right?
Yes, I did. Yeah, in 1995. Yeah.
And so they didn't really solve your problem.
No, they didn't.
And you came in, we did some stem cell treatments on you and some chiropractic on you, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So you're happy.
I'm happy. Everyone here is just awesome. They're all here to help you. They're all so sweet.
You should listen to Gayleen, see if we can help your health.
That's right. Anyone that needs help, please come in.
Thank you.
Just try to remember the strength that we find. Oh, yeah. We can be free. We can be free. We can rise above.
Hi, this is Dr. Duncan McCollum. I'm back for the last little segment of the show here. And, you know, we can be free, we can rise above. It's just a really cool thing because that's not normal. Normal is the best, the worst of the best. We can be free, we can rise above being normal. And maybe you're happy where you are, and that's fine with me. I'm just trying to encourage those that would like to see what they can do in the next day, week, month, year, 10 years, how you can change your life if you want to or improve it. It's going to go one way or another. Time and gravity are definitely not our friends. Time and gravity are not our friends. So we can reverse our biological clock. If you're interested, pick up my book, Reverse Your Biological Clock, and it's on Amazon. And also, you know, it's really interesting just taking a look. I told you a patient came in last week, and she'd had a pretty bad break in one of her extremities. And she was actually in the medical field. She'd been in the medical field for a couple decades and kind of on the fringe, but working in a local, large medical area. And but when she had this injury, it'd been about 6-8 months, and then she had a surgery 2 months ago that left her with metal in the joint, pretty extensive. And when I walked into the room, in my consult room, she was sitting there, and she was basically crying. And it was, you know, very sad and compelling to me because, you know, I could tell that something was going on. And she said, you know, I just want to let you know, I am so glad to be here. I've been suffering so much. And I just feel that having walked into this office, that there's hope finally. And of course, I was hoping that she was right because, you know, I could tell that she wanted to be free of her pain. She wanted to be free of, you know, the restrictions that her life was put on her life because of this. So we talked about it. She had some pictures, you know, that she brought some x-rays. I ended up taking a couple more because I didn't have all the shots I needed. And it was pretty horrendous. But I could see that the bone had not mended yet. You know, it hadn't been long enough. And so we talked about the stem cell machine, the TRT, tissue regenerative therapy machine. You know, I told her how it worked. We went over some of the, you know, ins and outs of it. And I said, you know, you never know. We've just got to try it. Your body does have this desire to heal. And so I had Dr. Erica Ziegler, who's the other doctor in my office, amazing doctor, do the stem cell treatment on her. And she left that after that treatment saying she felt hope That was Wednesday. She came in Friday, and when I walked into the room, she sat there with the biggest smile on her face. And she just said, I cannot believe the change that this made in my life. I have a little bit of pain here, but nothing like it was before. I feel like there's hope. And then she just went on to talk about, like Gayleen did in this commercial, about my staff. And from the first phone call, she felt like possibly there was something that could be done to help her. When she came into the office, you know, my staff is amazing. They introduce themselves, they have you have a seat, they offer you tea or water. Most of the paperwork's been filled out on the phone already. We get you back into a room as quickly as we can so I can meet with them and talk about their case, their situation, and decide whether or not I think I can help them, because we can't accept all patients in our office. And right now, to be honest with you, it's very difficult to get in right away. So if you want to experience this, you're going to call, and if you can get a chance to get in within a day or two, jump on it. That means we've usually had a cancellation, and sometimes it might be a week to get you in, and that's getting more and more filled up as we go. So the word's getting around. Our referrals, we're a referral-based practice, but of course we take people off the radio show, and then you might see some of our commercials on Facebook, because you know there's less than 600 of these stem cell machines in the country. When I first got mine, there were less than 200, and because of what it did to my arm, I couldn't even lift it. I went and got one. I had to I had to travel pretty far to get my first treatment. I had to hold my right arm with my left hand to eat, because I couldn't lift my arm, and I couldn't eat left-handed. I kept hitting the side of my cheek. So it was such a relief to have 40% improvement off my first treatment. A week later, it was 80% better. And then I went, darn it, we need one of these in the community. So I found out about it, and you know, it was quite an investment to get this machine to bring to the peoples of Santa Cruz. So, you know, take advantage of the $49 special, see if it's right for you. If it is, I will explain what you need to handle your particular case. And if you have one or more areas that need help, we can talk about that. But regardless, chiropractic is amazing too. We just back in September, we just celebrated another anniversary of chiropractic. It's 127 years old since the first adjustment was done in 1895 in Iowa by Dr. D.D. Palmer. And you know, it's been a art form that's developed over the years. D.D.'s son, B.J. Palmer, developed it and saved it from going extinct, because the American Medical Association didn't like us around. The Rockefellers didn't like us around because they were making sulfa drugs out of basically oil and other things that would allow them to cover up symptoms and handle problems, but mostly cover up symptoms. And right now, if you don't believe that, this country is taking 80% of all of the opioid drugs in the world. 4% of the world population are taking 80% of all the opioid drugs. And opioid drugs are very, very toxic. They're very, very addictive, and people are dying from them all the time. Now we have a fentanyl problem in this country. And so Dr. Jason Fung, who I've quoted many times and had played his commercial a few times, and what he basically says in one of the interviews I had with him, he says, and he's a nephrologist that was specialized in diabetes, and he got so tired of just giving people the traditional diabetic medication and watch them slowly deteriorate because it wasn't fixing them. He started doing intermittent fasting and investigating. He and Dr. Dan Papa, who I work with specifically and speak with them sometimes more than once a week. We are studying with about 40 doctors around the country on many different things: medical doctors, chiropractors, acupuncturists, scientists, and we're really on the cutting edge of what's going on with health. And it isn't in a bottle. So Dr. Jason Fung said, if you could create a medication or a pill that didn't cure anybody, but didn't fix anybody, how long would they have to be on that drug? If you gave them a drug and it didn't kill them, excuse me, or cure them, how long would they be on it? And the answer was forever. So how many drugs are you on? I'm 66 years old. I'm not on one drug, not no medications at all. Many people I know my age aren't, but then people come in and they're younger than me and they're on 5 to 7 to sometimes 15 different medications. One is combating the other, combating the other, combating the other. And this is not freedom. This is dependency. And I'm not to say right now that you should get off your drugs. You shouldn't. You've got to work with your medical doctor on that. But if you start to turn your condition around by helping get rid of the 3 different stresses in your life, your body, just like that weed growing out of the concrete or that tree that split a granite rock in half in the Sierras, your body will survive and it will improve. Your cells are replaced all the time. Your stomach cells last 5 days. Muscle cells, 90 days or 120 days. Heart cells, 90 days. Your body within 7 years has completely replaced itself. So how come are we continuing to be sick more and more and more? And so we've just been exposed to a huge amount of media regarding what's hit the world in the last couple years. And some people have had problems with it. There was a lot of people that passed away, whether it was from that or misnamed. You know, you can look into the research yourself. Even the CDC is stating that there was some misquoting in there. I'm not going to go into the numbers or anything. You go on their website and look for yourself. But my point is, it doesn't even matter right now. All that matters is you and your individual health, what you can do to make a change. What's normal for you? Is normal for you waking up in pain, inflamed, can't get around? I mean, look around and see what's normal for people. It is just not really okay to have a country that's rated 47th in the world for health, the most obese country in the world, still having 2 out of 3 commercials on the TV advertising drugs, telling you to tell your doctor if you've got chronic bleeding syndrome or any of these other weird things. So I see somebody's calling. I don't take calls online, but you can always text me at info@McCollum Family Chiropractic if you want me to address a subject, or if you have questions, I'd be more than happy to email you back or take the subject up in the next week. So it's info@McCollum, McCollum, familychiropractic.com. Please communicate with me if you're interested. Let me know what you would agree with or disagree with. You're welcome to disagree. I am a clinician, which means I do what works, and if it doesn't work, I throw it out. I study with a lot of other clinical people that are making changes in people's lives. I'm not a scientist, but I know how to read science. I know how to evaluate it, and I know how to look for trends in what's healthy. I also know what to look for, which is bogus information or toxins. So anyway, Dr. Duncan McCollum, please follow me on YouTube, Dr. Duncan McCollum. Subscribe to me there. Go to my my podcast, McCollum Wellness Radio, anywhere that those you can find those on Facebook or Apple or Spotify, what have you. Follow me on Duncan McCollum on Facebook. Probably forgetting a few things, Instagram, but KSCO is an amazing station. I'm not sure of its fate, but its voice needs to be carried on. The voice of Americanism, or whatever Harvey used to say. Forget his first name. And basically it's, and now the rest of the story is what he used to say. But, you know, the rest of the story is you. What can you do individually? You're not part of a mass of cells in a petri dish waiting to succumb to the next toxin. You actually have the ability to rise above. You can be free. I encourage you to write down where you are right now in the areas of your health, your specific health, whether you're achieving the goals, whether you're able to do the hobbies you want to do, what hobbies did you do, what have you given up, where are you with your family, where are you with your work, are you happy doing what you're doing, or is that work causing you stress, making you sick? Have you been contributing to people on the planet? You know, how is your material stuff that you own and or are a part of? You know, what is your position on you as a spiritual being or not? And then just go, if I could change anything in my life, what would be the first thing you could change? I used to, when I first started, I was so in debt as a chiropractor, I'd go door to door with my spine in my hand, up all through the neighborhood here by the radio station, knock on a door, somebody'd open the door and I'd go, is this yours? Holding up the spine. I get all kinds of reactions, and I'm sorry. My name's Dr. Duncan McCollum. I'm new in town as a chiropractor. I have 3 questions. Number 1, do you think people could be healthier? Yes or no? Yes. If you could change or improve one area of your health today, what would it be? And I'd let them answer. Then I'd say, well, what's wrong with your energy or your pain or your back or your neck or your headaches? Then I'd say, if we found we could improve your health, is now a time in your life you would like to see that happen? If they'd say yes, I'd invite them in my office, and I'm inviting you into my office. If you think that you would like to, if now's the time you'd like to change or improve something in your health, then give us a call, 831-459-9990. Try the $49 stem cell special. Maybe when we meet, we find out it's not right for you, but there's something that would be better for you to do in my office. And I would be more than happy to have you in. Again, Dr. Duncan McCollum. Thank everybody on Facebook for being here. Please spread the word. If you've gotten anything out of these shows, not sure where the station's going to be in a few months, but I'm really hoping that it's still here. And if you know anybody out there who wants to buy the station, who's going to keep the radio station free, now's the time to let them know. Anyway, this is Dr. McCollum. I'll see you next week. Thank you so much.
We will rise above. We will rise above. We will rise above. Yeah. We will rise above. We will